Let's see if it goes. Places everybody. It's like a real production. Hey,
An
I hear
action.
myself. All right, I'm gonna close everybody. I'm gonna close this. So, okay. All right, cool. Should be running. All right. Well, hello, everybody. I have some esteemed colleagues here today, Tanya, Christian, and Sankelp, and we're going to
Hello.
discuss this rather kind of nice, I guess, geomagnetic forecast coming in, but we're kind of leery on the strength that they're giving it and how they came to this, because originally we thought that this might have been a backsided event, ended up being front-sided. So we're amending it from yesterday. It's only hasn't even has yeah, it's been 24 hours. That's how the sun rolls. So I guess we could start off with, you want to talk about why it's not a far-sighted event?
We can do the well, yeah, I'll bring that up with I'll give that to Tanya because then we could do the Hux model on that. For now, let's just do the actual eruption that I don't think, I mean, you showed a little bit of yesterday.
Yeah.
I've got 304 up and then 211, and I'm putting 211 in a base difference imaging just because I'll be honest, a lot of detail looks better because you can actually watch the material eject at the same time. So this is a blend between the two.
I
Let's
like
zoom
it.
in.
I like how you can do that with J Helio viewer.
Differential imaging makes all the difference when it comes to the, everything, really. I very rarely do I actually look at just the regular lighting in most of the wavelengths, especially LASGO. It's so much easier to see CMEs through it. Yeah, point is, so our confusion yesterday, we did have the eruption here. I know were we talking about that eruption yesterday, or we saw the CME yesterday before we left? So how far into this did we get? None,
I
right?
don't, yeah, we didn't really get very far into it.
Perfect. Okay. So what was it? An M1 flare, I want to say. I didn't even get the alert. Mine are set to R2
Yeah,
alerts.
it
So
was around, I remember the M1 popping up. So it's not a
1.7.
yeah, it's not a
1.7.
very big one.
No, not at all. It is a pretty photographic, I would
Hmm.
say, or even just a appealing eruption. Not
But
only is there you've got post eruption arcade loops, but you've got a filament release from it, which you can see it definitely has a northern trajectory too from the looks of it. Look at
yeah.
that loop. Ah, and then you've got the after loops, which I'm going to get rid of 304 for a second just to make this a little bit easier to see. And go to the running. There we go. Yeah, just the post eruption arcades there.
Nice. Yeah.
So
I think that
we
was
saw the
our
CME.
confusion, was how northern it was shot off.
So not only that, I will say at the very beginning, and yeah, you can tell here, especially the top part, it flies very much north. I mean, quite a bit. There's almost no sort of waves or kernel dimming, nothing really to really establish it for all sides. You can, it's not 211. I forget what wavelength it was. I forgot to check that, but you can see a propagation wave going east and west from this
Okay.
eruption as well. So it
Yeah.
does make a little more sense. But the CME we saw, I started looking at timing. The CME seemed to appear very, 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 very shortly after the eruption. I mean, within 15 or 20 minutes. Usually it's a little bit longer than that. I mean, I'd even say 40 minutes before I start seeing a good signal for it. But this, on the other hand, it was really quick, and we also knew that there was an X1 flare on the backside, but we had no imagery and no other sort of confirmation. So, without further ado,
Yeah.
Tanya, if you want to take it from here, I will give you the reins.
Absolutely. So we have fabulous solar orbiters sitting on the other side of the sun right now. It's making about 160 degrees angle with the sun-earth line, so it's almost direct opposite of us. And what it registered is this fabulous X1 flare. Well, we can estimate it close to, oh, let me get to the peak of it. Yay, we got an X flare. It was a complex event, so another flare was preceding it. There was probably another flare here, and finally it blew up into X flare, X1 flare, and that was around, let's see what the time, oh, there we go. So it was 14:49, so almost 3 p.m.
Hmm.
And the nice part about the sticks and solar orbiter is you can locate the flare at least to some degree. So it was giving us a southern hemisphere and kind of off the center, closer to the east, which was not lining up really with the propagation of the CME in LASCO. So that was our decision, not just our decision, but I think a lot of forecasters kind of started thinking, well, that's probably not where that CME is coming from. And it was fairly late for that propagation too. So timing didn't line up, location of the flare didn't line up. It looked compelling because it was an X flare, so pretty strong one, but probably not the source.
Right.
All right.
So that's that. I guess we can bring up the current forecasts that are going on with it. So
While you're saying that too, I want to say Erica and a couple other people on Twitter, that most of the other experts were all thinking this could have possibly been a backside as well. So it
yeah.
was not a huge amount of people jumped on the, yeah, definitely a front side train, except I think Tamitha, which, she's normally right anyway.
Yeah, it took a little bit for, I mean, because some people like, I need to see the evidence, right? So
Yeah, I
and
can
it
take her
took,
word for it usually.
yeah, and it took a little bit to get that. But yeah, it looks like, let's see here. Yeah,
I
Swipsy.
mean, I myself fell for that halo, which I was quickly corrected by
Yeah,
an esteemed professor. But I was not wrong about the CME. Yeah, I should have started with the CME instead of the halo.
yeah,
Yeah, we were all like scrambling about where that halo was coming from. Was it backside? Was it front side? And he's like, there's an eruption. What are you talking about? It's right there.
yeah. It
Like I
was,
circled in the video. Like, look
yeah,
here,
it was,
look
it was just,
here.
it was just hard though because it looked like it was just like all up. It's
Mhm.
like
Which
it's
was
Yeah.
also weird that it didn't show. You would expect a puff or something in the northern area of Glasgow, and really it was just a straight up full halo.
yeah. So it's an interesting one. It's a very interesting event.
Solar
So
Max.
So I will share this because this is the okay, share. Because this is the current Swipsy model. So I actually just fast forwarded and stopped it where they think it's gonna hit, which is the 24th around midnight UTC. And they have it's in there pretty good. So it's like a straight on hit basically. So that's kind of where the forecasting is coming from. Um I think our thoughts are it's not going to be because I've seen what G3 predicted out of this, but I just don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, that was Met Office, so they really modeled it to the max, but they're counting on the CME prior to that.
Okay.
Was an eruption on the 19th that is forecast as glancing low
Yeah.
Okay.
at this
All right. So
point,
they're
and they're counting on that to create at least some degree of geomagnetic disturbance.
okay.
Then that CME can take off from there and bring it to G3.
Yeah.
How it's going to play out, nobody knows.
Yeah, it's very true. I think
Wasn't there a model
Swipsy,
that decided or that had the ambient solar wind too slow? So it would actually, whatever came in for the forecast for the model, I don't remember who this was. It might have been
That
Twitter then.
was, yeah, that was also a Met Office, and they're notorious for arguing with their own and like literally all the time. It's hilarious. But
That's healthy. I mean,
they do somewhat preliminary data simulation, so they will at least comment on current model is predicting solar wind too fast or too slow for what we're observing. Therefore, some events may come either late or early. So
okay.
at least there is that work going into forecasting there, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, I agree. But as you see here, I brought this up too just because this has been posted and has made rounds on social media already, but Swipsy is calling for G2. Um I mean, I guess it's fair. I mean, so we'll see what happens. We'll see what ultimately happens with this. Do you have that Huxt model up too? Because we could look at that real quick.
I definitely do.
Okay, I'll stop sharing and give it back to you
One
because we
sec.
might as well compare all of them.
Sure. Oh, I have
And I
the
just I
M2M
just
office as well.
Hmm?
no, I just shared in our group chat the radio wave propagation. Sorry, not the radio wave propagation, but
oh yeah, Halo CMEs. The really cool
Oh, the
switch
EIT wave,
channel
right?
thing he does, yeah, which I don't know how he does that still, and I want to know.
I think that's his secret.
Yeah, he hasn't told anybody to my knowledge.
Yeah, and I saw that and I'm like, okay, initially I thought it was mostly northern, but then there's some propagation in the
Uh-huh.
eastern direction
Mhm.
as well. And then
Yeah.
Tanya said that only the Met office has said G3, not all the agencies, so that makes sense.
Let's see if
So
it plays it. No, it won't.
So this is a Hux model, and it kind of overlaps what Met Office is forecasting too for G1, G2 from the initial impact of the glancing blow from the filament eruption on the
Yep.
19th, followed by more of a direct hit from the filament eruption yesterday. Met Office is giving G3 about 30% probability, so not super high probability event. And remember, all the agencies really have to model it to the max because they're modeling it not for Aurora, but for industry. We keep saying that, and that G3
And no one's listening.
never materialized. And for
Yeah.
them, it's actually good. It's like, yeah, forecast G3, and it came at G1. Yay.
Yeah,
For
so
us, it's disappointment, but that's how it works for official space weather forecasters. They would rather err on overestimating the impact.
always err on the side of caution. That's what they
Exactly.
do.
That might be the highest peak I've seen for arrival time distribution. I don't know
Yeah.
if I've seen
Oh,
it
that's
much
pretty.
higher.
That is, and it's a very, very tight peak too. So it's not just, yeah, it's kind of tight spacing. So not a whole lot of variation there for
I
forecast
like
for
that.
ensemble members.
What else I like about it is how it basically shows the overlap too,
Mhm.
which is cool, which is something you don't get with the other models as much. At least in, that two, like on a graph, like, we just get the pretty animations on the other ones, which are nice, but I kind of like seeing it on that graph there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
it gives you a different sense of the information. I
Yeah.
like it too.
we can also switch to what M2M is forecasting and kind of talk about what people are sharing. So
Yes.
this is actually bulk, meaning this is the CME material itself that was modeled, and it's not as direct of the hit as we would like, but
Mm.
okay, fair
In
enough.
fact, that's showing the core just hits barely north of us.
Mhm.
Right.
And
Which would,
that's based on that northern propagation. And if you can pull up the G2 forecast and G2 watch from SWIPSI, they're also showing it brighter. So it's a halo, but it kind of has uneven distribution of material, which would be
Yeah.
consistent with the early kind of spread of the CME that we have seen. That's mostly north directed.
I'll pull Lasco up if we want to see that as for a video.
Yeah, sure.
yep, yeah.
Do it.
Or
Give me just like a minute, I'd say.
yeah, I can talk about what else is in there. So
Yeah.
this is what kind of KP forecast distribution. Again, they're kind of calling for G2 based on this, and this is estimate based on all going south. So it's all straight BZ in the negatives, and it may create that. It probably won't, but we won't know until it actually hits. What I have seen more recently, kind of going back to the forecast, because they forecast both bulk and shock, you kind of get two different models. And you get a lot wider shock, which is how it works. It creates a huge wave and it just propagates and spreads.
Yeah,
and
look
it
at
looks
that.
so much nicer.
Which is how it
Yeah,
works.
so,
I like
so,
that.
so then you see this on social media and you're like, oh my God.
And then you look at this model and it gives you KP8, but it's never for actual CME material. This is for shockwave and for solar energetic particles that might be accelerated by it. That could be damaging to satellites, but that's not coming our way. Some of it is, but no, not going to happen. KP8, not going to happen.
Yeah, this model's for influencers.
Yeah.
Right.
Fair enough. Okay, I'm gonna
People
get
could
out of
post
here.
it in, yes. Heighten it.
It's the hype casting. The hype casting. That's what that's for.
I like hype casting better.
Speaking of hype casting, okay, Christian, you got your
Oh, well,
laptop.
yeah, I'm already.
Yeah,
So
do this
CME
before we go into weather because I'm gonna bring it down a notch.
doing about 8 frames per second. This is now running differential imagery just for the sake of not making it all clamored up with all the different movements and types. But first appearance, right about there. And clearly brighter in the northern half, northeastern half, let's say. But by the time it gets out quite a bit, when I go out to C3, it's not bright, it's not very
It's there.
definable, but it is a asymmetric full halo with way more northern edge than anything else. I don't want to say this is as far as it gets, and it dissipates pretty quickly, but so,
Yeah, that's
looks
it.
very uneven too. There looks like there even might be something going on in the south too.
Yeah, that looks
It looks
different
like its
coming
own
in
loop.
there. Hmm.
There was a mention of another smaller CME from the southern direction.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
That
there was. I need to find that.
that might be it then.
Yeah, that would make sense then because
But it's
that's
funny, it all looks like one CME at this point, since it all
yeah.
just launched by itself.
But yeah, this is what makes this event so interesting because like without
So many things.
without like looking at all these things, like you see pieces and then you're like if you just saw the original eruption, then you think, oh, that's all north. There's no way that's gonna hit. But then you start looking at these other things, like, wait a minute, there's more to meets the eye with this. So anyway, so I'm gonna be the bearer of bad news. Um, because at least for now, obviously for everybody else watching, we are Great Lakes based area. So when I talk about weather and stuff, it's going to be in the Great Lakes region, and it looks like we have a multitude of things that is working against us. The moon, smoke, and cloud cover. So that's like the trifecta of garbage.
Moon and smoke and cloud cover. Oh my.
Yeah, so I'm gonna share my screen here. Um, we'll just go here. Because this is now I wanted to show this first because this is the HRRR model on pivotalweather.com. It it updates every hour, but this event is slated for the 24th. So right now this will not be helpful to us because it doesn't go out that far right now. But the day of the event, if you want to check cloud cover, stick with the HRRR because it is the higher resolution model that we have. So I just wanted to show it to you, but we'll talk. I'll bring up Astropheric with the proposed cloud cover with some of the lower resolution models. But let me see, we'll go to Astropheric. So this is Astropheric.
Ugh.
It's an app that you can put on your phone, and I'm happy that it works on the desktop. I didn't know it does, but it does, and it's great for this because now you can see it. But
So much smoke.
I fast forwarded to Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central Time, and you can just see as you funnel through, it's looking pretty bad smoke wise. I mean, the Eastern UP is looking okay.
And me.
Yeah, and Christian, but for the rest of us, so let's go out to like 1 a.m. It's it's going to be tough for a lot of us in the Midwest because that's the purple is what you don't want to see. I've worked in like just comparing it to regular astrophotography. You can kind of work in the yellows and the oranges to some extent, but when you start getting the purple and the red, it becomes basically impossible. It's so hazy and it washes out everything basically. You get what they call those pretty sunsets that everybody talks about, which I still don't really. I've seen these pretty sunsets and I'm like, what?
I mean, it's fun to see the photosphere of the sun without any glasses on. I've
Yeah, I
learned
mean
over
that
the
is
years.
kind of cool, but it's just
But that's it.
I don't really get it, but I mean maybe I'm gonna get some hate for that, but it is summer, it is wildfire season. Unfortunately, this is just a summer thing. The origin of the smoke in this case, let me see if I can zoom out. It's actually northern Canada, northern Canada. There's a lot of fires going on in British Columbia and Alberta. It gets caught in the jet stream and gets, sent over here. So the good news for us though is when I looked at current fires in the US, it looks like we're actually doing okay this year. Last year was horrific. We had a lot of fires both here and in Canada. So we're doing okay considering it could be a lot worse. So
Well,
it's
that also means that it's going to be not so spectacular event for Canada, at least in the area
uh-huh.
under purple.
Yeah, under the purple.
Are.
So let's go up to Canada. Let's look. So Manitoba is probably our friend in Manitoba is probably gonna be fine. But
But no
yeah,
one really thinks about him anyway.
right. Actually, let me fast
Hi,
forward.
Justin.
Yeah, hi Justin. Yeah, Saskatchewan, not good. Even Edmonton, Calgary, will be hard. West Coast, maybe. Then this middle part. So yeah, it'll be a rough one with the smoke. So let's see if I can find do some cloud cover. So it's Thursday. Let's go back to Tuesday.
That's
Oh,
thick AF.
yeah, so let's
That's
see
so
here.
thick.
Actually, Western UP might be okay. But I wouldn't go off of this so much because it's kind of a rapid model, so it's not like the greatest. Um, but let's see here, 3 p.m. It looks like it'll clear out a little bit in spots. North Dakota, out west looks pretty good, but they're also blanketed in smoke. So that's unfortunate. It's like you get the clear skies, but they're all smoky. Um, so this is gonna be one to watch. The cloud cover gets tricky when the models have these patches all over the place. Because really, so I have a storm chaser friend of mine, Charles. If he ever watches these, I'll give a shout out to Charles Peak. But he says they don't put money into cloud cover forecasts because it doesn't affect human life really, like the severe storms do and stuff like that. So they're just never going to be super accurate. And it always be behoove you to look at actual satellite imagery and compare it to the model and see how it's handling it. And if they match up pretty good, then there's a good chance the model's handling it okay. But let's say like here, like in the UP, this would be considered accurate for like the range is like 60 miles, 60 to 100 miles. Like, so if this cloud could be up here and that's still considered accurate. Um, so it gets really hard when you're trying to figure out where to go with the clouds. So look at satellite imagery, look how the systems are moving. HRRR is our best friend with this because it is the highest resolution model. And that's about all I'm gonna say on weather. Oh, I forgot we have a pretty much full moon too, still.
Oh yeah, we didn't even go to the moon. It's
Yeah, we
true.
didn't go to the moon, but we're past the full moon, but it's still bright and it's gonna
I-
be bright throughout the week.
Anything above 80, I mean, really 70% is going to be distracting.
Yeah. So we got that all to deal with. So anyway, I'll stop sharing now. But have any more thoughts, comments, concerns, questions?
I mean, well, concerns, but they're not appropriate for the stream, so we'll wait till
Okay.
afterwards.
All right.
Um, I think we covered pretty much everything. That was quick too.
Yeah, look at that. We're just getting through this like boom, 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 bam. I don't know if the Sankelp, you got anything to add? I know you have always got words of wisdom back there.
No, I'll be banned if I say it.
This would just Mary Beth, you just lose your YouTube
Yeah,
immediately.
too hot for YouTube.
Yeah. So remember last year there was one storm, like Max predicted was G2, but for just for a few minutes, like for a couple of minutes, the KP scale went a little bit higher and then it tipped to G3 for like 5 minutes and then it came down. So the people might say, oh, G3 predicted, but it's not the impact, the G3 impact, but it's like overall taking those 3 hours values, there might be some scales tipping going over KP8 or 7 something, and because of that, it might reach G2 for a minute and then come down.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
it's sort of the max conditions that magnetometers are really showing. So it's if
Yeah.
it hits G if it really hits KP 8 for K8 for that magnetometer, then we'll have to look at others and sort of try to average it for the globe. So KP is just not a great index on any scale. There's KP, there's HP30, which is kind of
A
like
little better.
KP, but in 30-minute intervals. There's KP 60, there's 1 minute KP, but it's more kind of the average temperature for the hospital.
Yeah.
Like medical analogy, you have one patient with a high fever, but the average temperature looks fine. So
Right.
it's kind of like that. So aurora is local geomagnetic conditions. It's always local. So you have to kind of know what data to look for, and kind of know what it means for you. And there are a few tools out there that are helpful. So again, Glendale Lab, that's going to tell you what's happening and what's happening close to you, as opposed to somewhere on the other side with KP8, but it's for Europe. So that doesn't help us.
Yeah, that won't help us at all.
Yeah. Now, I know how sometimes Mary Beth refers to those high resolution KP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just as bad. It's just as bad because it's really is it's a global index, and if you are looking for global index as sort of predictor of how bad your GPS is going to function, that's great. But when you're looking for a local event like aurora, KP on a K index or any global geomagnetic index on any type of scale, it's just not going to be good for you. It's not going to be helpful for you.
Yeah. What she said.
I think that should be removed from all these Aurora apps. Like it should be in the background somewhere.
Yeah, it should
That
be like,
itself, yeah.
I mean, like it's great for like looking back at things. Um, but yeah, like I don't want to totally dismiss it because it has it has its place. But you know, like if you're in, you know, in the middle of a chase or something, it's not super helpful. But I have
Right.
seen it where the HP 30 like spikes to like KP8, almost a 9. And then
Mhm.
like, but that doesn't show up, you know, in the other ones, but it's like maybe that's where they're getting it from. You know, it's more confusing than anything, I think. So, you know, fun times. Alrighty. Well, on that note, if anybody doesn't have anything else to add, I can let you all go. And then we can just sit and wait and
See
see
how
what
things
happens.
go. I
Yeah.
mean, I wouldn't necessarily be opposed, assuming everyone else wanted to, for like a live chat while it's happening. I know that's a little more impromptu, and
Yeah.
if we get data, randomly at 3 o'clock, I know there's probably some people that wouldn't be able to join, like the
Right.
ones in clinics all
I'll
the
be
time.
up. I'll be
Yeah.
up.
All right.
But
Well, we
point
can
is, I'll
count
be
on
here.
you.
Yeah, same.
All right. Well, that sounds good. Yeah, we can reconvene because maybe this will turn into something. Maybe it won't.
I
But
hope so. I mean, if anything, it'll just be interesting for Europe, probably like normal.
yeah, like you know, it'll hit at 6 a.m. here.
We'll get the UK with Aurora and NLCs at the same time.
Uh,
Yeah, well, you know, they're just
Lucky.
lucky dogs. It's all good. It's all good. We love our European counterparts. It's fine. Fine. And our Australian people too, because they've gotten some good stuff as
Actually, yeah,
well.
they're
yeah.
really the ones that have benefited much this year.
Yeah.
That's true.
So all of them.
Yeah. And we love one Canadian guy.
Yeah, that one Canadian guy.
Ah, yeah, that guy.
Alrighty, well, I'll let you guys go. Thanks for hopping on. It's fun. I like these little informal meetings about
It's a lot better
things.
than typing a bunch, especially when they're typos.
Yeah, which I'm guilty of all the time.
Or
So
I swipe the wrong word and don't realize it, which happens all the time as well.
alrighty. Well, I will end this on YouTube first,
All
and then
right.
I'll